All right, welcome into Stadium in Maine with Big Worm and Strack. I am Jordan Strack. The other side of the screen, that is Chris Wormley, former Wolverine, 8-year NFL vet. We are both Toledo natives, just kind of hanging out, talking football every single week. We're teaming up with Blue by 90 this year, and we have new podcasts coming out every Tuesday during the football season. So make sure you share this thing. Give us your comments, your feedback. We'd love to hear all of it, and we will keep this thing rolling through the rest of the season. Worm, Wolverines get a nice win on the road at Nebraska, 30-27. They improved to 3-1. What were your big takeaways from the weekend, just right off the bat here?
Yeah, I mean, first off, huge road win. Anytime you can win on the road, it's a plus, especially when it's your first one of the season. But definitely takeaways. Defense played, I thought, their best game of the year, led by 7 sacks. And then the offense was led by Justice Haynes again. He's improving each week. He's making the big plays each week, and it's exciting to see him continue to stack wins and to stack performances, because I think we're going to lean on him, or the Wolverines are going to lean on him a lot this year.
That's all right. You can still say we. You have a degree, right? Like you can still say we.
I get caught up in that a little sometimes. And to be honest, I hate when other people say it, especially people that didn't go to Michigan or didn't play football. But I catch myself every once in
a while. Yeah, I mean, you played. You were, you were pretty good there. I think you had a pretty nice career. It's all right. We'll allow it. You talk about Justice Haynes, 17 carries, 153 yards, a touchdown. Also, Jordan Marshall, 6 carries, 80 yards, a touchdown. The explosive plays is kind of where Michigan lived. And I don't know how sustainable it is for an entire season, but in the moment, these explosive plays have been really impressive. I love the replay of the Justice Haynes 75-yard touchdown. Watching the offensive line work almost exactly how it's supposed to go, and then you watch a safety get in there, and Justice Haynes, he wanted no business. He wanted no business. He wanted no business putting his nose in there against Haynes. He makes one move and he goes 75 yards. Those are game-changing type plays that we're seeing. We saw them with Donovan Edwards against Ohio State, and in the playoff games. We saw them with Blake Corum for so long. Those are game-changing type plays.
Yeah, and especially in a game like this where you thought that Michigan was going to pull away at some point. They were up by 10 at one point. They were making all these big plays, and somehow Nebraska would crawl back and make it a game and make it closer. Those big plays on both sides of the ball, whether it was the interception or the 7 sacks that the defense produced last game, and those 3 big rushing touchdowns, those are really what separated the Wolverines from the Cornhuskers this past week. And you want to pair big explosive plays with some slow, methodical 10 to 12 play drives. But anytime you can score that fast, it's a plus. But you'd like to see maybe a little more balance for the in the weeks coming.
As a defensive guy, are you a little torn when you see a guy rip one off for 75, like you were just on the field and you're like, oh man, I got to get back up and get back out there? Are you a little torn on plays like that?
100%, especially if you're out there for 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 play drives, and then you get a commercial break, a kickoff, and then you're right back out there after one play. It catches up to you, but you can never be mad about points, about your team scoring, and putting yourself in a position to succeed, and that's what Michigan did this week.
All right, tell me if I'm crazy. I felt like Michigan was dominant in the game on both lines of scrimmage. I felt like Nebraska was really hanging in there, and it didn't feel as close as the score would indicate in the end. There was never a point throughout the day where I was like, all right, I'm getting a little nervous. I just never felt that way. It just felt like Michigan was going to find a way every single second of that day. Am I crazy there?
No, I kind of felt the same thing. I felt like they always kept them at an arm's length away, whether they were up by 10 or they cut it to 3 points, or they tied it up right there at the end of the first half. I felt like Nebraska made their plays with Raiola. Obviously, I think he's a really good quarterback, and he showed that. But yeah, it never seemed like, okay, Michigan's going to lose this game if they don't do this or that on a certain drive. It always felt like they were in control of the game by the way they were running the ball, by the way their defense was flying around. I thought they made just enough plays to win the game. But at the end of the day, a 3-point win is a win no matter what.
I don't know why. Maybe I'm being naive. Maybe I'm a little crazy. It just felt like there was no way Bryce Underwood was going to let them lose that game. Like, I always had that feeling with JJ McCarthy. It was like every single game, maybe because he went 27-1 as a starter. I just always had that feeling that Bryce was going to find a way, even if they, Nebraska had taken the lead or whatever. Like, it felt like he doesn't panic in these moments. He kind of exudes with confidence, and it just kind of feels like he's always going to figure it out.
Yeah, when your quarterback is when you look at your quarterback and who's usually the leader of the team, no matter what the situation is, and you can see in his eyes that he's calm, cool, collected. The moment isn't too big for him. That instills a sense of confidence and a sense of you're not too anxious. You're not going to get too hyped up about the situation. When you look at your quarterback and okay, he understands the game plan. He understands what's going on. He understands the moment, and he's not getting too high in the moment and in a stressful situation. So I thought he handled his composure pretty well. He didn't have his best game, especially when it comes to throwing the ball. And that it isn't totally his fault. We can talk about that later with some of the receivers and their drops, but I thought he played. Sometimes you just need to be a game manager. I don't need Bryce to have the performance he had against Central Michigan every game, which obviously would be nice. But if you can go in there, control the game, never really feel like you're going to lose the game, that puts you at a big advantage throughout a game and then throughout the rest of the season.
For sure. A couple of the other things that I have written down as the good. There were a bunch of young guys that played significant snaps in big moments. Shamari Earls, Jaden Sanders, Elijah Dotson. I mean, these are guys that were on the field at the end of the game when Michigan was in winning time. They're playing true freshmen out there. To me, those are big and valuable moments that you can't duplicate in practice. And to have some true freshmen get in there on the road with everything kind of on the line, I thought those were some huge moments for some of those young guys.
No doubt. And we talked about it last week with Central Michigan getting kind of that garbage time and what that does for your confidence moving forward. Because at some point in the season, whether it's week 4, 5, 6, or it's week 12 against Ohio State, those young guys are going to be called upon to make a play. And it doesn't matter if you're 18 or 23 years old. If your number's called and you're in a position to make that play, you're expected to make that play. And especially at a place like Michigan where the standards are so high. So it's really cool. It was really cool to see those young guys go in, play productive football. I don't think we're expecting them to be world beaters and Heisman finalists as 18-year-olds, but when you, like I said, when you go in there, you're supposed to you do your job. And for the most part, I feel like those young guys really stepped up and helped win this game.
Yeah, I thought Jaden Sanders was unbelievable. He had a couple huge moments in the game. The defense as a whole, the front seven, the defensive line was able to put on a ton of pressure. It felt like Nebraska was overwhelmed up front the entire day. Jayshon Barham, the move to edge has obviously been incredible. Matt Rule said today he looks like a top 10 pick. I think he's got that kind of future, and it felt like the defensive line kind of had their coming out party, and they're going to be a handful if they can play like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously it starts with Barham, but I tweeted out on Saturday night, like, hey, like this was a game where Derek Moore was letting people know that he's still Derek Moore. I thought he played a really good game in terms of the pressure. Obviously, I think he had a sack and a half, but he was in the backfield a lot, making Raiola scramble around, making him look more like Mahomes more than he already is, or tries to look. But I thought the defensive line and the front seven as a whole had their best game. And sometimes that's what it's going to take is a game where those guys step up and put it all out there and continue to have success. But 7 sacks, anytime you have 7 sacks, you're putting not only your defense, but your whole entire team in an incredible position to win.
All right, let's talk about some of the bad. The wide receiver play has to get better. I don't think there's any way you can, beat around the bush here. The wide receiver play has to be better. That's just a fact. It was tweeted out today that Bryce Underwood actually had a 71% adjusted completion percentage, which means 15% of his passes were drops by wide receivers this week. It's got to be better. I think, there were a couple good moments for some guys. I thought Donovan McCulley had a couple good moments. He was also, this close to making an absolutely incredible catch down the sideline. He had a moment where, early on, he puts a shoulder down, goes and gets a first down. There were some good moments. Samaj Morgan had one of those moments as well where he puts a shoulder down, goes down, gets a first down. Love it. But the easy drops, you have to be able to bail out your freshman quarterback and help him out in that situation on the road in that environment. And I know everybody is making the jokes that Michigan has to go drop bags in the transfer portal. And yes, they probably do. But like the wide receiver play has to be better, period, end of story.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way to drop a bag now in the middle of the season. The guys that are on the team are the guys that are there, and that are the guys that are going to be there until the playoffs or the bowl game. So those guys have to step up. I promise you, Coach Bellamy is telling those guys like, hey, it's a long season. We still have 8 games to go at least, and we need to step up. We need to be kind of that safety blanket for Bryce to be able to get open in space, make those catches, and just catch the balls that come to you because, as you said, 71% adjusted completion percentage is pretty damn good, especially for a freshman who likes to run around and move around in the pocket and make those plays with his feet and his arms. So they all know they have to play better. We as fans know they have to play better, and we'd like to see that moving forward. And I think this is a perfect time heading into the bye week for them to be able to work on a few things that can carry them for the rest of the season.
One of the other things I noticed is it felt like even with all the pressure that Michigan was applying, it felt like, man, there were some penalties I thought that were missed in there. And I think that was confirmed today. Sharon Moore said, we're getting tackled a lot. Trevor McHugh, I'll give him a shout out for this tweet. Michigan is currently dead last in college football for opponents' penalties per game. Just 2.5 penalties per game for opponents against Michigan. It feels like I get it. There's going to be calls throughout the game, and you can't call every single thing, but it feels like Michigan is not getting the benefit of the doubt on a ton of calls, and there are some moments where guys are being mugged. There was one on Raiola rolls out. It was the touchdown, I thought, to the back of the end zone where the guy steps out. Barham got tackled. There's moments throughout the day where I'm like, man, it feels like there's a lot being missed and Michigan's not getting help. And then seeing Trevor tweet that out today and seeing that stat, that kind of confirmed to me like, okay, yeah, there's only 2.5 penalties a game. Either Michigan is not getting any of the calls, or they're playing the cleanest teams in all of America. I don't know which one it is.
I'm gonna put my tinfoil hat on and be a conspiracy theorist here first. But I mean,
go ahead.
I've experienced it, pros and in college, and there's a target on Michigan's back. They've had some questionable things over the last few years with Connor Stalions and the cheeseburger and the sign stealing and Coach Moore doing X, Y, and Z. And it's like, okay, what? And they haven't been able to crack down on them the way that I know that the NCAA wants to crack down on Michigan. So they're going to find every little thing to try and piss them off, make them feel uncomfortable, have a call here, go. And like I said, I got my tinfoil hat on, so don't come after me, NCAA. But if I was a conspiracy theorist, that's probably the place I would start, was looking at, maybe there's an email or a text throughout the NCAA, and they're telling the refs to hold their flags a little bit. But you can't. It's hard to play against the refs and against your opponent, but you got to be able to weather those storms, and Michigan did, and they're sitting at 3-1.
They found a way to get out of there with a win. That's the most important thing coming out of Lincoln. All right, so up next they've got a bye. Worm, give me an idea. What will happen during the bye week for all these guys now?
Well, they're going to get a much needed couple days off. Maybe they're going to hit up the Zach Bryan concert this weekend at the Big House. Probably going to be the biggest concert in the whole entire world ever. I mean, maybe not as much as Woodstock, but I mean, 100,000 people at least are going to be at the Big House for the Zach Bryan concert, which is going to be fun. But they're going to get a couple practices in. I know the coaches are going to sit and look back and be like, hey, what have we done well these first 4 weeks? What do we need to improve on? They're going to self-scout each other. The offense is going to look at the defense. The defense is going to look at the offense, and they're going to come up with a plan to, let's add in a few new wrinkles these next 8 weeks. Let's throw some things out that maybe weren't working, some bubble screens and tunnel screens and those things that are on the offensive side of the ball. But they're going to get some rest. They're going to make adjustments, and they're going to come out of this week ready to play. And they got a big one against Wisconsin in a week and a half now. So it's exciting for them to get some rest, but I know they're going to be working as well.
That is a Wisconsin team that right now is limping. I mean, Wisconsin is absolutely limping into their next games because they are in a tough spot right now. They are struggling big time. And they're going to have a little time right now. Michigan will, to get ready for that game coming up. All right. So we have Chase Winovich coming on our show here in just a little bit. I'm very excited to talk to Chase Winovich, one of the all-time favorites in Michigan football. But first, Worm, let's do this. So we've got our Michigan Mount Rushmores ready. I've got mine. You have yours ready?
I do. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, and we'll get to this. We'll get to the Winovich in just a moment. Let's knock out our Mount Rushmores real quick. So I'll go first. I think the easy number one, and I don't know if this is going to be your number one as well, but I'm going to guess. I'm going Charles Woodson. To me, it's a no-brainer. He's the greatest of all time in Michigan history. He's one of the all-time great college players of all time. Heisman national champion. He had his moment with the punt return against Ohio State in 97. To me, undisputed. He's the GOAT. That's number one for me. Two, I think he's probably on your list too. Maybe not. Desmond Howard. That 91 season was one of the greatest seasons anybody's ever had in Michigan history. He wins a Heisman. He basically won every single award in America that year. The number 21 is retired. It's one of only 6 numbers retired in Michigan history. That moment with the Heisman pose. So, he had his moments. To me, those are 1, 2. That was easy. I'm going to be a little controversial, and I know people are going to give me crap and call me out for recency bias here with these last 2. My next one is J.J. McCarthy. He was a national champion. He went 27-1 as a starter, was a Rose Bowl MVP, first team All Big Ten. But most importantly, more than anything JJ did on the field, he was just a dude. I mean, he's a leader. He's a guy that everybody follows. He changed the culture at Michigan when they needed it bad. J.J. McCarthy's my number 3 on my Mount Rushmore. And here's my last one. And this is going to get me crap too. And it's going to be recency bias, and I get it, and everybody's going to crush me on this too. That's fine. I'm going Blake Corum. I thought he would have won the Heisman in 22. Wins 3 straight Big Ten titles. 3 straight wins against Ohio State. Single season touchdown record. 2-time All-American. He was the MVP of the national title game. I'm going Blake Corum as my 4th guy. A lot for the same ways that I picked J.J. McCarthy on my Mount Rushmore. So those are my 4. Charles Woodson, Desmond Howard, J.J. McCarthy, Blake Corum. Worm, go ahead, get to yours real quick, and then we'll get Chase Winovich in here in just a minute.
Yeah. Okay. So I got some honorable mentions first. My number one. Yeah.
I didn't know we could do that. Okay. Go ahead.
It was hard. I mean, okay. So I'm going to preface this by saying this is all, I'm only 31 years old. I didn't start watching, really even know what Michigan football was until probably 2000, but I'm going to give myself until 1997.
Okay.
In terms
I am a little
of
older than you. You're right.
So honorable mentions JJ McCarthy. I'm going to push back on you a little bit when you said he changed the culture. I agree that he was a part of it, but I don't know if he was the main reason why. And that's just because in 2021, he wasn't the starting quarterback when they beat Ohio State, and they won the Big Ten.
Sure.
But he obviously got a natty. He's, the best winning percentage quarterback in probably Michigan history. My second honorable mention is Mike Hart. I got a soft spot for him in my heart. He was probably Chris Perry and then him were the two running backs that I kind of started watching Michigan football growing up. He's got the rushing record, 3-time All Big Ten player. Just one of those guys that I, maybe it's biased or just nostalgia, but Mike Hart is on there for honorable mention. Number 3 is Braylon Edwards. He wore the number 1. I know Anthony Carter did, but I didn't get a chance to really watch him. 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. He was the first to ever do that at Michigan, which I think is crazy. Unanimous All-American. Now let's get to the Mount Rushmore, where you see all the faces. Charles Woodson, number 1, easy. I think we both, like you said, we both agree on that.
Yeah.
You already said all of his things. Shout out to Woodson Whiskey, a sponsor of State
On
of
the
MMA
screen.
podcast.
On the screen,
a sponsor of Blue by 90. So got to give him his flowers. The easiest choice out of all these 4. My number 2, and I got to show love to the big guys, is Jake Long. Number 1 overall pick. Just a force to be reckoned with on the offensive line. 2-time Big Ten Offensive Lineman of the Year, 2-time All-American. And like I said, the number 1 overall pick. Anytime that you're the number 1 overall in anything, I think you deserve your flowers, and I'm giving Jake that on the Mount Rushmore. Number 3, and this is the guy that I think flipped the switch to the Michigan. You talk about the Michigan culture flipping the switch to being kind of this powerhouse again, and it's Aiden Hutchinson. And I hope Chase agrees with me on this as a fellow defensive lineman. Solely off of that 2021 season, Heisman finalist, beats Ohio State for the first time in 10 years, is really the blood and the pulse and the heartbeat of that Michigan team that year. I got to put him up there just for what he has done, even really in the entire state of Michigan, from his high school to, I know it's just supposed to be college, but high school.
Yeah, that's fair.
At Michigan and now with the Lions. And then my number 4, and then this is probably going to be the biggest pushback, is Denard Robinson. And I think if you put Denard Robinson on any of these teams the last 4 or 5 years, they might win 2 or 3 national championships. What I saw him do as when I was coming up through recruiting and going to the Michigan games to actually playing with him my freshman year at Michigan was something that I think he was 5 to 10 years too early to really get his flowers in terms of what Lamar Jackson's doing these days, what Josh Allen's doing these days with their legs. I got him on there. He beat Ohio State his second to last year in 2011, and kind of brought Michigan almost back with Brady Hoke there. I know it was the Rich Rod era was rough, and obviously the last couple of years with Brady Hoke was rough as well. But Charles Woodson, Jake Long, Aiden Hutchinson, and Denard Robinson are my Michigan Mount Rushmore.
All right. I don't hate it. Let's welcome in Chase Winovich right now. How about that? There he is. Yeah. Hold on. I can't hear him. Is your mic on? The glasses is such,
turn me up, turn him up.
What up, gang?
There it is.
Hey, what's going on, man? How are you?
No, that was great sitting through that, fellas. I tell you what, I agree with a lot of your guys' takes. That's tough.
Oh, okay. Do you have a Michigan Mount Rushmore that you'd like to give us? Your 4 goats of Michigan football?
Well, I'd say I have to throw myself on there at the beginning, not because of my defensive end status, just because when I played scout team tight end going against Chris Wormley, it's like anybody that did that, I think should be added on there. We might have to expand it from 4.
I love it.
I'd say Tom Harmon, number 1, right off the rip.
I knew I was going to get crap for not adding Tom Harmon, and there's reasons I didn't. But yes,
there's no film. There's no film of Tom Harmon.
All you need to know is this: is that after he beat Ohio State, I'm pretty sure he was punting, right? First ever Heisman Trophy winner. But Ohio State, at Ohio State, they cheered for him. They did a standing ovation because of how well he kicked their ass. And that's, you don't need any tape to say that's impressive.
No doubt.
It may never happen again. Imagine kicking Ohio State's ass that bad that they're like, gotta hand it to him. Like, that guy is a beast.
That will never happen ever again. Not in this world. No chance.
Exactly. And then I'd say after that, you got to go Bo Schembechler.
Okay.
Bo Schembechler, I think that what he I mean, there's a store right on Main Street. It's called Schembechler. You know, the fact that like he could have such an enduring legacy, I think and it just inspired coaches like Coach Harbaugh, and it's just like that ripple effect, you know, starting back then. I think after that, I mean, he's a sponsor of the show, so #ad, but Charles Woodson, Desmond Howard, you know, I think Aiden Hutchinson, I think that, you know, he deserves, I mean, you could make an argument, most impactful player of the 21st century. Just his presence on the field and the fact he's won 3 Big Ten championships, beat Ohio State multiple years after that long stretch of not being able to beat them, coming so close. Yeah, just I mean, I'm a big Aiden fan, obviously, not just because I was a redshirt senior, you know, but when he was there, he learned everything. No, I'm just kidding, but yeah, those are some of the names that come to mind immediately.
All right, I love it. All right, first, before we get to anything else, what are you up to now, man? What are you doing?
Yeah, so I'm living in New York City. I was dating a model here, tried to get her to join Michigan staff to help recruit some players.
Was that Madonna's girlfriend or daughter again, or
no? We love some things. You gotta, you know how they say nothing. Everything happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. You know, some things got to stay in Michigan.
I hear you.
So yeah, I found a tech company. I had a guaranteed contract, got released, had 2 surgeries before then. And I don't know where Worm's at in the stack, but I had 9 points, which is what you need to qualify for NFL's disability. And, you know, I just was praying about it. And, you know, I had this business idea that I really wanted to launch. And, you know, sometimes you gotta put your nuts on the line and just go for it, follow your dreams. And that's what I've been doing the past 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, talk about your company and the tech company and what you guys are doing over there.
Yeah, so it all started back when I was a player, and one of my teammates, Super Bowl MVP, right? I'm not going to name him, but basically somebody took a picture of him while he was sleeping and was just like, I just effed this guy. And, you know, I was just like, well, I fall asleep. You know, it's like, how do you defend that, or just like at large, right? Why is it their story to share one picture? You know, it's like lasts forever on the internet. And I realized there's 2 problems. Number one is that players were paying thousands of dollars for an NDA. And then 2 is that there's no electronic in-person way to sign. So I'm not bragging, but your boy's officially an inventor as of 2 weeks ago. We patented the ability to sign legal documents via QR code. But we, long story short, we pivoted from that. And now we're coming back to it. But, you know, protecting people and helping them make money is at the core of what we do. We're a performance-based influencer marketing platform. Hopefully you can still hear me. Zeus, get out of there.
Yep,
so Zeus, I think once here. Come here, buddy.
Whoa.
I thought you were going to pick up some small dog, and he picks up this monster. I love it.
Mountain dog.
Yeah. So yeah, we're a performance-based influencer marketing platform. Basically, how it works today, right? If you want to do a deal with somebody, let's say you're a brand, you know, it's like number one is how much does that deal cost? It's based off guesses. Number 2 is that these things take weeks of like back and forth to accomplish. And number 3 is that every single deal is a gamble because you're paying them a guaranteed deal, regardless of if 10 people see it or 10 million. The issue with that is what we see where, you know, because of the friction involved, only a small Zeus, he's trying to get a ping pong ball. No, Zeus, come here. You're a fluffy dog. He trains to hunt rats. I'll get to that later. But
right in New York City.
Yeah, in New York City. He's doing the God's work out here on the streets. But the problem with that is that, you know, you got situations like I experienced where, you know, I had good marketing reps. You know, you got to build a good team, as I'm sure Worm did. And they would come to me with brands and be like, hey, you want 100,000 to post this or 30,000? And I'm not bragging to be a sellout, but I'm just saying that that's a lot of money. You know, at the end of the day, you got to get it while you can. And that's the way it is for most people. Most people can't get deals except, and those that do, you know, will get offers from their marketing rep who's taking 20%. It's like, hey, you know, you want to post this? Well, I never heard of the company. And yeah, maybe it's poison. But at the end of the day, like, you got to do what you got to do. And so, yeah, in a nutshell, a lot of people trying to make money in today's day and age, not a lot of tools to do it. And from a brand side of things, there's a lot of friction involved. So, trying to take on the world one step at a time and make products that help the people.
I love it. Have you considered the WWE at any point? Because you look like a guy and you talk like a guy that could go be a professional wrestler. Have you ever considered it?
What do you think my go-to move should be?
I don't even know, but like you just look like a guy that could live in that world. Like I don't know. I think you could cut a WWE promo and you could be a guy. The hair, the look, all of it.
I think whatever your finishing move would be, it'd have to start with the head tap like you used to do back in the day after a big play, Yeah. Something like that. Yeah,
head tap into the forearm shiver. I think that's
keep brainstorming. We
got to workshop that one for sure.
I love it. All right, so you retired at 28 years old. When you go back to your decision to stop playing football, kind of what went into that?
It's like this. There's a society has a path that's laid out for us, right? You go to school, you get good grades, you marry a girl, you get a wife, you have 2 dogs or 2 kids, a dog named Spot, et cetera, et cetera. Everybody's path is, different, right? Like Chris and I's was to play football. However, when you go to deviate from that path, right, consciously, I'm going to make a decision to either go into podcasting or business or whatever it may be, the path that was kind of expected of you. Well, number one is that most people can't understand. Most people have an employee mindset. And so it's a lonely experience. You got to go fight a grizzly bear by yourself. But I think that's when you find out what you're really made of. It's like football was hard. And I went against the biggest, strongest, fastest humans on earth. And Chris knows that damn well how big those son of a guns are. And he's a little bigger than I am. So he's a little bit
he's
more.
He's one of those big sons of guns.
He's a little bit more well-equipped. And I have a funny story about that later. But for me, that wasn't necessarily the case. And I say that the internal battle, the demons that, that ultimately plague some of the brightest lights, I think have always, made those other monsters, so to speak, pale in comparison. So yeah, it's a lonely experience when you branch off, but it's empowering and you find out what you're really made of.
Go ahead, Worm.
No, yeah, I'm almost in that same boat of like, okay, do I keep playing this game that I love so much for, more than half my life, 20 plus years, or do I call it quits and continue to be a podcaster and do other things in my life? But I know it takes a lot of courage and a lot of back and forth when it comes to you being the one that is able to make that decision and not the other way around, because a lot of the times people are still hanging on to this dream 2-3 years after they're really supposed to, be something else. So I applaud you for making that decision on your own. But I want to go back to your college career and the revenge tour, because I wasn't there. I think I was maybe a rookie or my second year in the league when you decided to take on this revenge tour. And talk a little bit about what went into that, what made you decide to do that, because I know it wasn't just, you wake up one day before week 1 of the season that year and you decide to go on this revenge tour. It was kind of planned, not even planned, but the season before had a lot to do with it. So talk about the revenge tour a little bit.
Yeah, I think it goes back to the year prior probably and playing with, 2 years prior, playing with you guys and just like that, the previous season. So this would have been 1 year prior to the revenge tour, and just the way the season ended, and I just remember even before that coming to Michigan and Taylor Lewan and Jake Ryan driving us around on mopeds and just see buying into the Brady hoax sort of vision for what Michigan could be and taking down Ohio State and stuff. And for me, it just was like, after losing the first game to Notre Dame, it's just like, listen, I didn't come back for this. That's not what this team is. Like, we're not just going to lay down and die. We're going to show some fight to us. And I think that it was kind of for me, just a galvanizing thing. That's what my intention was with it. But having fun too. Like, I know we had talked about this, but the Michigan State game, it's like I came from Pittsburgh. Like I wasn't really as involved with the Michigan State-Michigan rivalry. However, it still was like so fun to just mess with them, just like buy into the whole, like, hey, listen, we're going to do battle alongside our brothers and we're coming for it. Just a little bit of spark,
your interview after the Michigan State game in East Lansing is I mean, something of legends. Like, did you like have that kind of planned out where you were gonna call them out as little brother and all those things after that game, or was that kind of a spur of the moment thing that just kind of hit you?
Yeah, I was talking to a buddy and I was just like, hey, like, I think I'm going to go for this. Just totally roast them. And I saw a couple years ago, one of their basketball players had referenced it, like me and, some other person of that was more recent. And I'm like, bro, this was like a decade ago. Like, it's just like, it's like the fact that they would even bring it up at that point after this long, I think goes to speak to like, it's truth. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know. Like, if I didn't believe it before, it's like, no, it's all good fun. I think that that's what makes sports great, is that ultimately, like, if I say go blue, then, most of the country is not going to really resonate with that. And some of the country is going to hate it.
I mean, even before the pregame for that Michigan State game was when Devin Bush kind of scrapes his cleats across their logo. And we did a similar thing to that, I think, in 2014 with Joe Bolden, linebacker that came in with me. He, before the game, takes the Michigan flag and plants it in the on the logo, and we ended up getting our ass kicked, so it backfired on us. But that kind of set the stage to what, maybe a little foreshadowing to what your interview was at the end of the game. But it went from Devin Bush doing what he did to you guys winning the game to you making the little brother comment, which I don't know if you guys remember, but Mike Hart said that probably 20 some years ago now in a press conference interview that I still see on clips today. So it's funny how some things work out that way in terms of like setting the stage to a game, and then it happens, and then you go and kind of make this statement afterwards. That's the beauty of sports.
It is. Yeah. As Coach Harbaugh always would say, if you dedicate a game to somebody, you got to win. You got to win. And you guys did that. Remember Minnesota? I think we had dedicated, I forget exactly who. And I did the same thing at Northwestern. We're down on the road. There was a woman, she was dying of cancer, and a kid, and I dedicated the game to her. And so this is my senior year, but we were down 17-0, like I said, on the road. Northwestern's a tough team. Like, they weren't like them getting ahead. They can control the clock. We came back and kicked pretty much last minute field goal to seal the deal. Which was, by the way, it's kind of a tangent, but that was one of my favorite memories. We walk into the locker room, and trust me, any Northwestern, someone says they're from Northwestern, I share this story with them, by the way. They're like Harbaugh walks in the locker room, and everyone's celebrating, so they quiet down. He's like, "We just ruined the best night of their lives," and we went crazy. Like, I never had a crazier celebration. We're like throwing each other into lockers. It was fun.
Okay, so speaking of Harbaugh, then you got to give us a Harbaugh story, because Mo Hurst was on the pod a couple weeks ago, and he told the story of Harbaugh running a route in camp and blowing both of his hamstrings out. Which was, I forgot about that memory, but I when he told the story, I was like, damn, like I remember him kind of hobbling off and having a limp for the rest of the season. But do you have anything, because you played 4 years with Harbaugh, or 3 years, 3 or 4 years with Harbaugh. So I only played 2. Years, so you have a double the memories with him. So give me something good. Give us something good that Harbaugh did or said, or just him being Harbaugh. Give us a good story.
Yeah, I'll give you some good. I'll give you hopefully a good clip, maybe. Try to get some clip action. But yeah, I'll start with saying, all positive things about my experience with Harbaugh. I mean, I was on the defensive side of things. I think that it is a trial and error process, right? You got to, as they say in the tech world, A/B test. You try things. If it works, you keep doing it. And that's what I think winners do, but Harbaugh is particularly good with it. A few stories that come to mind is like, when every time it was like a game for him, I think I never had a conversation about this, but every time the NCAA would try to pass certain laws, for example, no footballs during walkthroughs, right? So he had like this like taped towel essentially to act as the ball. It's like, or they put certain hourly restrictions on it. That that shit never worked. It somehow made us like have more practice
more.
Yeah, it somehow backfired and made the conditions worse. I think that, it's hard to, they say it's hard to describe an experience, right? Imagine you have a really powerful meditation or a dream. Trying to articulate in that words is tricky. And Harbaugh's a lot like that, where it's like you could point to a few, like sort of like the fact that he was out there running routes and pulled his hamstrings. Like I remember this one time they were doing the quarterback center exchange, and he was on the ground, just like his POV, like if we could replicate it with like AI and some, his like on the under the hood, so to speak, just like straight, you could imagine the view that he was seeing, and he's just like coaching him up, and like just like there's not too many other coaches. Like I highly doubt Nick Saban is laying down on the ground. He probably put a camera down, but no, he wanted to see that for himself. And I think that's why he was successful. But I think that, just his mannerism, just I don't know, guys. I don't know about that. They just crack me up. I think that they're awesome. And I think that he's pretty cool too. So,
I love every time we get somebody on. This is a thing now that we can just say, hey, give us a Harbaugh story, and somebody's going to have something, which is incredible. All right, I got to ask you. So I believe you posted this on Instagram from the Rose Bowl. Were you actually at the Rose Bowl with Connor Stalions right after everything kind of went down?
Yeah, I have a lot to say. I can't say it on camera probably, but I'll say this, that Connor Stalions, in my humble professional opinion, I think he's a good dude. I think that can't help that he was good at what he did. Can't help that we got haters out here trying to basically gaslight us and frame us as like these cheaters or this or that. I don't know what's true or what's not. I'm just saying that ultimately, like as Belichick would say, and I'm not saying that he would do this either. I'm just saying, like, you got to do business as business is being done. It just is what it is, right? Like if they're doing PI and you're getting away with it, that's an advantage for the other team. Right. It's like, I know after that Ohio State game, my redshirt senior year, that the way that they were able to call, we would be a man, they'd run, crossers every time. Like, it was just like, they knew it. They knew what defense we're in. And there's no way they could have done that without some sort of advanced scouting. And
so are you saying that Ohio State, the team that probably spilled the beans on everything, was doing the same exact thing 2-3 years earlier?
Talking to people in the space, just asking questions. Apparently like 80% of the teams ultimately were doing it. And so it's like, if you're not doing it, I wonder what if you'd have to look at like the advanced PFF stats, which teams weren't like using this to their advantage and how competitive those teams actually were. Because, ultimately in a game of inches, imagine if know every time what play they're running. I mean, it's obviously a huge advantage. And so to Connor's credit, I think that, if he did do it, which I don't know, he was damn good at what he did. And there's, like I said, there's haters, of course. And I say the second thing is that I think it's a microcosm, and this is kind of what I saw, just like a microcosm of like bigger issues we have as a society, especially with young men, who so much of our value is derived from the value that we provide, the things that we do, our worthiness. And just to see him, like that guy, like knowing him and, like just absolutely love Michigan, that would have, fallen on the sword, that didn't say anything, didn't go squealing whenever like he was under pressure, when he was kicked to the curb, when he didn't know if he was going to be able to pay rent, just tank it for the love of the game for Michigan. I think was really commendable. And I think that, the truth has a way of prevailing. But I said, you know what, after like just talking with him, I'm like, screw it, bro. Like our seats are on the 50-yard line. I'm going to get another one right with you right next to us. And we did. And I think that, seeing the other players turn around during the game and being like, oh, we have Stalions, it's like, let's go. And that it ultimately, look what it resulted in. Saban retired. He couldn't handle it. He couldn't handle the heat and had to get out of the kitchen.
I love it.
Wild. I love it. All right, I have one more. So you got to play for Jim Harbaugh, but you also got to play for Bill Belichick. There are probably very few people in the world that got to play for two of the all-time greats. Can you compare and contrast? And have you kind of like let that sink in that you got to play for both of those guys?
Yeah, and so my high school coach, Bill Chirpak, one of the most legendary coaches in winningest coaches in Pennsylvania high school history. I mean, between those three, it's quite a crazy feat in my opinion. I mean, the chances of that. I think that Harbaugh had a quote which is apropos for this comparison. When you compare, you always have less. And I think that's ultimately number one, first and foremost, and I think Harbaugh at some level would probably agree with this, that I use this example to help illustrate the point. You imagine you see a skinny girl walking down the street, really skinny, right? Like you had pulled 1,000 people, all 1,000 people would be like, that's a skinny girl. You go up to her, somebody does, they're like, hey, you're fat. And she starts crying, right? It touched on her in her emotions in a way that made her tear up. Those emotions are real. I think that the numbers speak for themselves. The fact that he's won, 6 Super Bowls, 5, 6 Super Bowls, like that in and of itself is indisputable, irrefutable, in my opinion. But which is, I know it's saying my opinion irrefutable, but my opinion it's irrefutable. Anyways, so if I think if we had to compare coaching styles, I'd say Belichick's not nearly as quirky as Harbaugh. I think Belichick has a different philosophy when it comes to coaching. I think that he's not as inclined to, raise his emotions as in like yell, at least at his players. Whereas like Harbaugh might get a little bit more emotional. He might be tied to the, as he put it, emotional. My camera cut out. Sorry. He wears his heart on his sleeve a little bit more than I think Belichick does. And they have a different background too. And so that's why it's really hard to compare. I think that they're both great in different ways. And it'll be interesting to see how Harbaugh does at the NFL level now that he's back.
Worm, you got anything else for Chase before we let him go?
No, I mean, I was so happy when you came back to the defensive side of the ball after being a linebacker, going to tight end, and then coming back to D-line, simply because, one, you have a crazy motor and, you turned out to be a great asset for us on the defensive side of the ball, but you were a pain in my ass every single snap of scout team. I know you took pride in it. I know you took pride in everybody being pissed off at you. And that's hard to do. That's hard to – Mo Hurst had a similar thing with Taylor Lewan. Like he was trying to prove himself to, the two-time All-American. So I know where you were coming from, and it only made us better. But when I was going against you and everybody else on the defensive side of the ball, they absolutely hated you. So I wanted to say that, not because I hate you, but because I respect and appreciated you giving us terrible fits all season long.
Yeah, I think that as much as you guys probably hated me, I think that there's some part of me that probably hated myself more and needed it, wanted it so bad just to fill some hole inside of me. And so, I think that there was definitely a fit mismatch. I don't think that was the position for me ultimately, but, who knows how things would have played out otherwise. Thank you for always just being cool. I think that some guys, they interpret it a different way, but this whole time, I mean, I go on public record and say Chris Wormley, he was just a consummate teammate, was always there for me. I learned a lot from him, the way he played the game, the way he attacked it, and the way he dealt with Coach Madison. I think that those sort of things, they definitely bond you. And I'm just glad to be here. We'll have to do. I'm starting my own show up at some point. Not doing self-promo, I promise, but we'll have to do some sort of cross collaboration. A bunch of fellow Michigan Wolverines. So,
would love to do it.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. It's a fun time. As you can see, I'm the founder of Chris Wormley's fan club.
That's the tech company.
Exactly. That's the tech company. Definitely not Signet. Thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all. Have a blessed night.
Thanks,
Yes, sir.
Chase.
Thanks,
Appreciate you being on, man. That's good stuff. Chase Winovich, one of the all-time fan favorites in Michigan
Chase
football
Winovich
history.
signing himself off. Just it was Chase's time to go.
I'm good. No, he was great. It's a roller coaster. That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like he'd be really good in the WWE. Like, I think he'd thrive in the world of professional wrestling.
He would be the heel. He'd start off as like the heel and the villain, and then somehow make his way to like being beloved by everybody. In due time. But yeah, Chase, obviously you could see he's a multifaceted guy. He's got a cool and I think a unique perspective just on life, which I think you need to surround yourself with people like that who can kind of show you the other side of life sometimes. He's living in New York City with a mountain dog that kills rats, and I live in Ann Arbor with two girls and my wife, and we live very different lives right now. But at one point in time, we were living very similar lives and, being Michigan teammates and playing in the NFL. But I was very pleased to have on tonight.
Isn't that kind of the microcosm of football though? Like in that locker room, you bring people together from just all different types, cultures, fits, neighborhoods. And you guys all come together as one in a locker room. I think it's a perfect microcosm for what the sport kind of does for people.
100%. And I had this conversation yesterday with a friend who is a rock star, I guess you'd call him. He tours all over the world. His daughter and my daughter are friends. They go to the same school. But he was talking about like just the way the world is now, and there's so much divisiveness, but it's like when we're on the road with these rock stars and they're all from different spots, different places, like it doesn't feel like that. And that's the same in the locker room. Everyone has a common goal. Everyone is from a different place, and the friends and the relationships that I've made and my wife has made, I would have never been able to have had those experiences without the game of football. And it's cool. It's cool to be a part of something that, if not, I would probably still have the same friends from high school, which isn't a bad thing, but
sure,
to be able to branch out and see a different way of life, I think humbles you and gives you a different perspective on the way the world moves.
For sure. All right. Chase Winovich. Do you want to give people a teaser on some of the guests we have coming up in the next few weeks? You want to give them a couple ideas on some of the people they can expect here in the next few weeks?
Yeah, so we got Jack Miller lined up, former Michigan center.
Toledo guy?
Toledo, Ohio guy. I mean, technically Cleveland.
Cleveland guy originally, but he played high school football. And yes.
He had football in Toledo. I'm excited to have him in the next couple of weeks. Got Jake Ryan lined up as well. Two guys that I have a lot of respect for that are doing great things outside of football. Jack's still heavily involved in Michigan football, doing the radio during the game. Jake Ryan is a world traveling photographer now, and wearing his hat actually. Huega House. Yeah, wearing his hat. He's got a hat company that is doing absolute numbers right now. So I'm excited to have him on as well in the next month or so to talk a little ball. But yeah, going to have guests on all throughout the season. But Chase Winovich was the one tonight.
Unbelievable. All right. It's a bye week. Michigan will be back in a couple weeks playing football against Wisconsin. Make sure you like and subscribe and all those fun things to our podcast, and we'll keep doing this thing every single week. Worm, enjoy some time with the family, and we will chat soon.
Yeah, I feel like it's a bye week for us too. Like I'm going to look back at the last couple episodes, write some notes down, ways to get better, ways to engage more with the fans.
I like it.
I've gotten my Instagram clips down though. I feel like I'm getting better at that.
I'm so proud of you, by the way. I want everybody to know publicly the work that has gone in behind the scenes. Worm has become a tech savant.
I wouldn't go that far. I'm not Chase level, but
you're loving the editing. You're getting into my world a little bit. I'm proud of you, man. I am.
I know how to overlay a little bit now. I know how to clip some things together, but maybe we pass that off to somebody who can do that at a higher rate than I can. But enjoying it so far. And like I said, we're gonna write some notes down and maybe even look at this Michigan Mount Rushmore and have a better sense of it in the next couple of weeks. I don't know. We'll see.
I love it. All right, pal. We'll see you back here next week.
Absolutely. Go Blue.
All right. Thanks for watching.